Okay. With that, I see by the clock on the wall, it is 1:30. I'd like to welcome you all to the Sunshine Coast Regional District. This is our regular board meeting on Thursday, July 25th, 2019. I can talk slow until Director Hilt sits down, but I would like to officially call us to order. I'd like to welcome everyone for being here today, and thank you for sharing this space with us. I'd like to acknowledge that we are within the territory of the Sechelt First Nation. Before we go to adopting the agenda, I'd like to acknowledge our interim CAO. This is his first official board meeting, Mr. Mark Brown, and we're very pleased to have him here with us and have him here while we conduct our search for our permanent CAO. And he's a great addition to the team, and so thank you and welcome. There's also another special acknowledgement I'd like to make. Within the last week, or week and I guess about 10 days or so ago, we lost a very valued member of not just the Sunshine Coast community, but especially of the Sechelt First Nation. Mr. Stan Dixon passed away. He is a former chief and council member from the Sechelt Nation. He sat here at the regional district table as a member, as a director for Area C before Sechelt took it over, which Sechelt sometimes does, take things over, but also sat on Sechelt Municipal Council. And he was key and very instrumental in the Sechelt Nation achieving their self-government status. So he will be greatly, greatly missed within the community. There is a public funeral this Saturday up at the Longhouse. The details are within the Coast Reporter and I think in the local as well, but certainly if you Google it, I believe it's 11 o'clock at the Longhouse on Saturday, and I definitely will be there. But just wanted to take a moment to really acknowledge the tremendous impact he had on our community as a whole, and just thank you so much to his family, and our thoughts are with you. Before we go to adoption of the agenda, we do have an amended agenda from what was posted online. We've had a number of items that got moved up from earlier today. So directors, there is an amended agenda at your places. And I also will be adding underneath item number 5, we're going to have a 5A, which will be a water supply update, which will be verbal from GM Rosenboom, just to give us a verbal update of what's going on in our water supply situation. So with that, may I have a motion from the directors to adopt the agenda as amended? So moved and seconded. Are there any other additions that you'd like to see added in? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Motion carries. Minutes, our regular board meeting minutes of July 11th, 2019. May I have a motion to adopt, please, and receive? So moved. Seconded. Any errors, omissions, additions? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Motion carries. Is there any business arising from the minutes or unfinished business? Okay, seeing none, I'll move on. We have no presentations and delegations today, but we have a lovely audience, and thank you so much. Reports. I'm going to ask us to receive all the reports at once, and then we will go through and we'll go through each of the recommendations as a block. So moved to receive. Seconded. All those in favor? Motion carries. So our first, Annex B, the Planning and Community Development Committee recommendations numbers 1, 2, 4 through 8, 10 through 20, and 22 of July 11th, 2019. Annex B, pages 9 through 16 in your package. Directors, would you like to pull out any of those recommendations before we move the block as a whole? Okay, seeing none, may I have a motion to approve or adopt the recommendations, please? So moved and seconded? Seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion carries. Item number 4, the Infrastructure Services Committee recommendations, numbers 1 through 7 of July 18th, 2019, Annex C, pages 17 through 19 of your package. Directors, are there any of those recommendations that you would like to pull out to speak to individually? Seeing none, may I have a motion to adopt, please? So moved. Seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion carries. Item 4A, the late item, Corporate and Admin Services Committee recommendations, numbers 1, 8, 9, 16, 17, and 18 of July 25th, earlier today, pages 19A and B of our package. Directors, would you like to speak to any one of those recommendations before we move the block or adopt the block as a whole? Anything you'd like to speak to? Going twice? Okay, may I have a motion to adopt those recommendations? So moved. Seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Motion carries. Item 4B, from the Deputy Corporate Officer, a letter of support endorsing the nomination of Alkatsum How Sound. Did I say that all right? Sound for UNESCO Biosphere Reserve designation. That's pages 19C through E of your package. So this is the letter of support that we have going through. Directors, are there any questions or comments on the letter in your package? Director Hiltz, please.
Yeah, just a quick question. Is it the lead that is it going to be addressed to, or does it need to be addressed to a nomination? I'm not sure if it needs to go directly or going to be passed along. I wasn't sure about that. Or does it matter?
I'm not sure. I'm going to look to staff if they have. So the question is, does it need to be addressed directly to Ms. Simons, or does it need to be addressed to the UNESCO specifically?
Perhaps.
Or perhaps we do have Mr. Wynn in the audience, who is part of the delegation that came here last week, and maybe if staff isn't clear, Mr. Wynn can speak to it. It may be just a question of semantics. I don't know if it's staff.
Thank you, Chair. Staff are in touch with Ms. Simons during the drafting of this letter, and so staff believe it's prepared to the specifications required. Happy to adjust if needed. Thank you.
And Mr. Wynn, if you'd like to come up and or say.
Yes, thank you, Chair. The only thing that we need, Director Hiltz pointed it out, just above where it says on the letter, How Sound Biosphere Regional Initiative, put Canadian Commission of UNESCO on that top line.
Can you say that again, please, Mr. Wynn?
Canadian Commission for UNESCO.
Canadian Commission for UNESCO.
Yeah.
And that goes, so that's endorsement of the nomination, like in that line, or is it that under the How Sound Biosphere Region Initiative?
At the header, just below the date.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just Canadian Commission for UNESCO, How Sound Biosphere Region Initiative.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. And directors, any further questions or comments about the letter? Certainly, Mr. Hiltz.
It's a terrific letter. I think staff has done a great job of putting forth an excellent letter, so thanks very much.
Okay. All right. So process-wise, yes, Director Beamish.
The question, and perhaps Mr. Wynn would know this answer. Do you know if, because I don't recall if Gibson's has sent a similar letter, and I wonder if it would be appropriate after this meeting that a copy of this be forwarded to Gibson's from the board, or I could take a copy and put it on our agenda for consideration, or if that's it would be something we could do there too. So.
If you'd like, Director Beamish, you could always make a motion that we just forward a copy to the other member municipalities.
Sure. After.
Yeah. as part of the approval. So process-wise, we had already approved this at a committee meeting, so this is a process. We're going to ask for an endorsement of this letter with the change as mentioned, and that a copy be forwarded to our member municipalities. Is that what I'm hearing for a motion for? And any other, Director Seegers? Okay, so moved and seconded. Seconded. Any further comments? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Motion carries. Okay, thank you. Okay, and we'll get that sent out. So, terrific. Thank you. All right. Next thing on our list, we have item 5, Chief Building Official, Notice on Title. This is Annex D in your package, pages 20 to 21, and I'll go over to staff, please.
Thank you, Chair. Staff recommend that notice be placed on title for 1834 Ocean Beach Esplanade. Work has been completed without a permit. As noted in the report, most of the house on the property is located on the Ministry of Transportation right-of-way, and the owner needs to address tenure with the ministry in order to have a building permit approved. Once the owner receives permission from the ministry, SCRD would be in a position to issue a permit, and SCRD can work with the owner to address the work completed and ultimately provide a path to future removal of the notice should the owner wish to do that. Staff are not aware of any life safety issues at this time and recommend that notice be placed on title. Thank you.
All right, I'll look to directors for any questions or comments. Director McMahon, would you like to start, seeing as this is your area?
Well, I was all ready to be indignant about, lack of building permit, but then when I realized that the house is on Modi right away, I was like, oh dear. Because I have no idea how long this could take through the Modi processes. I assume it's a bit of an exercise. So this seems to be the sensible way to proceed under the circumstances.
Director Hiltz?
Is the individual in the gallery, and would they want to say anything? Is that within the protocol here?
Yeah, it should be. I'll ask, is the property owner within the gallery, or would like to speak to this? Okay, I'm not seeing. Okay, Director Beamish.
I guess a question to staff: if the notice is put on title, or rather stop order was put, then I'm assuming that the continued work was done without inspection. So, in terms of, I don't know the scope of the work that was done, but in terms of removing the notice on title, would that inspection have to be done also as a first priority?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, a process for approving the work would have to be undertaken either through engineering drawings provided to SCRD and/or inspection. This is a challenging situation, but there is a path to resolution here if the owner so chooses. Thanks.
Director Seegers?
Thank you. Given that there is a cost to this, does that actually get charged back to the homeowner for putting the notice on title and potentially removing it in the end?
Thank you, Chair. There's no fee for the placement of the notice, but there is a fee to remove it, which is charged by the SCRD and covers the costs with land titles. Thanks.
Directors, any further questions? No? Okay, so seeing none, we do have on page 20, there is a motion that the corporate officer be authorized to file a notice at the Land Title Office stating that a resolution has been made by the Sunshine Coast Regional District Board under Section 57 of the Community Charter against the land title of Lot 1, Block 4, District Lot 906 and 909, Plan 1342, NWD PID 014-836-297. May I ask for a motion moving? So moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Motion carries. Okay, thank you. All right. Up to number 5A on our agenda package, and I'm going to go over to Mr. Rosenboom, who was very diligently, when I asked him last minute to give us a water supply update, has put one together. So over to GM Rosenboom, please.
Thank you, Chair. Since the water supply update provided at last week's Infrastructure Committee meeting, we had no significant rain events, and there are also no significant amount of rain is being forecasted for the upcoming weeks. The demand last week was in the order of 11,500, 12,000 cubes a day, and with the warmer weather, it increases until about 15,500 cubes last several days. It's going back. Yesterday was a little bit lower because there was more overcast. But it was definitely the upward trend staff expected that would happen with increasing temperatures. On the supply side, Chester Well is still online. Craig Creek, we have been able to prepare it and get it online as well. So I think it's first being used yesterday afternoon or today or early this morning. But it's ready to go online when the supply from that source is needed, so that it can be any time. In terms of the request to the province and the federal government, DFO, for a temporary lower environmental flow need on Chapman Creek, we've been not able to get the authorizations in place and address all the outstanding issues in time for implementation of such lower, temporary lower event prior to the salmon run to start. We expect it to start early next week, and early this week we're still having a back and forth with them in terms of information requirements, and the time would just it wasn't worth it anymore to continue. So we are now focusing on the work required to get a permanent, to do the thorough analysis, to pardon this word slip of the tongue, to do a thorough analysis so that we get a permanent change to our EFN for the years to come. Staff will be pleased to answer any questions you might have.
Okay. Thank you for the use of thorough. Sorry, it's a board inside joke about the use of fulsome versus other words, and we can get into that later if you'd like to, but I'm going to go to directors. Do you have any questions for staff regarding the water supply update? Okay, Director Hiltz.
Thanks, Chair. So is there water going over the weir, and is there any being released from the dam?
Yes, there is actively water being released. The valve is open from Chapman Lake, so it's going down at the moment.
Directors? Any further questions? No? Thank you so much for the update, a very thorough update. Very much appreciated, and being that we're not meeting for a month, it's nice to have some information going in. And even though our demand is going up, let's hope that we can demand go down a little bit so we can stay at stage 3 and not go into stage 4. So thank you. So next on the agenda, we have no communications today. We have no motions, but we have bylaws. And so Annex E, which is number 6 on your agenda package, with pages 22 to 23. And this is for first reading, and this is for electoral area directors only, 1 vote each. and this is for first reading of Sunshine Coast Regional District Zoning Amendment Bylaw number 310.187, 2019. May I have a mover for first reading, please? So moved and seconded? Seconded? All those in favor? Motion carries. Okay, thank you. Next on our list, number 7, Annex F in your package. This is on pages 24 to 25. This is electoral area directors voting, 1 vote each, and this is for adoption of the Egmont Pender Harbor Official Community Plan Amendment Bylaw number 708.1, 2019. May I have a motion to adopt, please? So moved, the director from Area A. And seconded? Seconded? All those in favor? Motion carries. Next on our agenda, number 8, Annex G in your package, pages 26 to 27. And this is for Sunshine Coast Regional District Electoral Area A Zoning Amendment Bylaw number 337.116, 2019, and this is for adoption. And may I have a motion for adoption, please? So moved and seconded. Seconded. All those in favor? Motion carries. Congratulations, Pods. There you go. All right. Oh, I'm sorry. There's a photo op there. We'll let them have their photo. Okay. Okay. Thank you so much. All right. Oh, okay. Yes. Make sure you invite us to the opening and the yes. It just, with your indulgence, we'll just make sure that they get another photo in. And staff, yeah. Okay. Oh, you know, one thing that we missed on our board agenda was directors' reports. Oh. So, that's odd. Now, I need to make a motion to amend the agenda to add in directors' reports, and I'm going to do it because I know how much you all love to talk. So may I have a motion to add a director's reports at this point? So moved. Seconded. Seconded. All those in favor? Oh, grumpy face. Okay. What's that? Well, those opposed? Would you like that registered? Yes. Okay. So we're adding director's reports. And because our director from Seashelt is so happy about them, I'm just going to let him go first so he can get it over and done with. Or actually, I'll let you choose where you go in the queue if you'd like, Tom. You might as well get it over and done with? Okay. Microphone on, though, please.
I think I've just been enjoying the sunshine. And, I've been able to travel the coast and enjoy this beautiful place that we live. That's my report.
Thank you. We'll go over to Area D and Roberts Creek and Director Ties.
Thank you, Chair. Not a whole lot to report. I enjoyed the strategic plan session that we had last Monday, as well as the breakfast with the Seashelt First Nations. And I think that should be a tradition that should be done regularly. I think it was a very worthwhile meeting, and I'm enjoying getting to learn the folks from the Seashelt Nation a little bit better. And that's it for me.
Thank you. Director McMahon, because you can go next and get it over and done with as well.
Well, my report always starts with, I went to meetings. So hopefully in September, maybe we could have some reports where we didn't go to meetings. That would be fun. And I'd like to thank the Elphinstone Community Association for hosting an awesome potluck dinner at Shasta House, which came complete with a competitive game of bocce and lots of good conversation. Yeah, we did a lot of meetings, strategic planning, the networking breakfast with the Seashell. I went to the Gibson's Chamber meeting, the Agriculture Advisory Committee, and last night the Town of Gibson's Affordable Housing open house. My goal for the next few weeks is to go to no meetings, none at all. Thank you.
Thank you. Next on my list, I have Director Beamish. What's up in Town of Gibson's?
It seems like we're meeting every week, so it's hard to kind of keep up with all these reports, but we have had board meetings. I also enjoyed the breakfast with the Seashell Nation. I think that's very valuable relationship to build. I dropped in, surprising a few people, the O'Shea Oceanmount Community Association summer picnic, and they tolerated me for about an hour. I took my wife, and so that was nice, though, and nice to see people at a different circumstance. Last night we did have the consultation on the affordable housing for Shaw Road, and that was well attended, and staff and the Affordable Housing Society put on a good presentation and information to everybody, and I think that's going to be a good opportunity there. We'll get a report back on that in September when we return. I'll remind everybody of the Lantern Festival, the first ever Lantern Festival in Weingarten Park this weekend, 4 o'clock if you want to come down and make a lantern, but it runs from 5:30 to 9 p.m. Come down for a picnic, music, lantern procession. There's going to be food trucks down there, and so the restaurants are putting out picnic menus. There's going to be dancing. I don't know if it's Conchita Harding or somebody's going to be leading some dancing down there, which will be fun. So that it's kind of a first ever. It's as you recognize, it's to fill a bit of a gap without having the usual activities this coming weekend, but the Sea Cavalcade there is going to be an event on August the 11th, kind of a Sea Cavalcade wind-up event. I won't be able to make that one, but it'll be also in Weingarten Park. And July 31st, we're having a consultation on the supportive housing project, and that'll be one in the later afternoon and one in the evening, and those have been held at the market. So if you have interest in that project and want information about that project, that will be the opportunity. So thank you. And I will be away from August the 8th until the 28th. Literally out of town in Stafford Lumley. The deputy mayor will be acting mayor.
Okay. And you're going to miss us greatly while you're away, aren't you? No, I didn't think so. Okay. We'll go up to the northern part of the coast and up to Area A. And Director Lee, how are things in Pender Harbour and Egmont?
Just great, actually. Sun shining and everything. Well, thank you. I'd like to remind everybody that it's Pender Harbour Days on August 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. On August 2nd, which is a Friday, we get a whole bunch of boats and decorate them up with flags and things and parade around the harbor, and we follow a boat with pipers on it. It's a lot of fun. And there's going to be for the Saturday and the Sunday, the boats are going to be at the Madeira Float, and they'll be open for tours. And we have quite a selection this year, a couple of mission boats, a lot of wooden boats, a few fiberglass boats. It's all set. And there's going to be kids events. It's a lot of fun. They build little boats and paint them all up. And there's lots of banging and painting. And it's really good to see the kids doing that. So if you get a chance, drop up. Last Saturday and Sunday, I took part in a salmon fishing tournament. And there's a lot of salmon out there. If you get a chance to go out fishing, you should do it. We got 3 on the boat. That we're allowed to keep, which is quite a trick because they have to be bigger than 60 centimeters and smaller than 80 centimeters right now, so pretty selective fishing. I really enjoyed the breakfast with the First Nations, and I really hope we get to do it again. It was a really good event. The other thing that happened is on Wednesday, Pamela Goldsmith-Jones came up to the Legion and talked to us. She'd been very active in Pender during her term. I don't know if everybody knows, but she's not going to run again in the federal. And so this is, I call it a victory tour. We sure did enjoy having her as our representative. She really served us well. And really sorry she's not running again, but being, as she said, being in Ottawa 5 days a week is just too much of a good thing. Can't get home in that 2 days and back again. And she wants to spend more time with her family. And the last thing is, met with about 19 people in Baker Beach, as you probably know, or I think I mentioned before. Baker Beach is actually being treated kind of like a wildland park, but it's actually surrounded by homes. It's right smack in the middle of a residential area. And the residents are very concerned about the possibility of wildfire spreading out of the park. And Kevin Clarkson came up and talked to the residents. There was 19 of them. They call themselves FOBs, Friends of Baker Beach. Very concerned bunch, but they really appreciated talking to Kevin, and he's our park superintendent. And I must say he did a very great job. Very proud of him. And it was a good outcome, and everybody went away happy, which is really nice to see. SCRD did put some signs up to help, and Baker Beach the signs really did help. Baker Beach actually can be accessed from the land, but it also can be accessed from the water. So you need signs in the entrance, but it's 2 entrances, and it's something you don't think about until it happens. And people land on the beach and start a fire, and there's no sign saying don't do it. So that's been fixed. So thank you. That's my report.
Thank you, Director Lee. We'll go to our other director from Sechelt, Director Seegers, please.
Thank you. I have nothing. I don't have as much. But it's actually slowed down a little bit. I attended the Advisory Planning Commission meeting with a number of the other councillors. Our Advisory Planning Commission is wanting to look at form and character. They really see we have new development that could potentially happen downtown, but we want to make sure that we come out with a unified look. So they're bringing that to the forefront. We're going to be doing some work with our new director of planning when he starts to move that forward.
Whatever.
What else? Cannabis has been on the radar for us. We actually had a public hearing last night for our new cannabis bylaw. We need to get a bylaw in place. We have 3 referrals for retail establishments, and until we have our bylaw in place, we can't actually respond to the referrals. So public hearing last night, it'll be coming back beginning of next month, and then probably going forward in September, because we're not having any of the meetings after first week in August as well. What else? Approach Models. I attended the event that the Chamber put on in Sechelt. There were people there from all up and down the coast, and we had people from Powell River. We had people coming all over the place to check out this little business that's in Sechelt. It's on Sechelt Inlet Road. They had about 250 people show up to tour. This fellow started out making little models at home. He liked doing that, and now he's making models for NASA, and he ships models around the world. So it's a pretty amazing business. He's like a little kid at heart. He's not a little kid anymore, but he's having a lot of fun. He has a staff, and always open to people to come in and seeing what he's up to. What else? We have in Sechelt I've mentioned this before, we have the community associations, but we also have something called SCAF. It's the Council of Associations kind of thing. So it's a meeting that we have probably every quarter with them. Our council meets with the representatives from each of the community associations. They bring forward issues, we bring forward issues. It's just a dialogue between the two of us without, in a formal setting. So we really find it valuable. We'll continue to do that. We anticipate the next one that we have with them will probably be when we're starting to bring forward our new zoning bylaw, because we're going to be sending that out to the community associations and have them look at it from their perspective and give us input before we even actually take it out to the public as a whole. What else have we got here? Community Resource Center. The Community Resource Center has joined forces with Sunshine Coast Regional Economic Development Organization, the library, Community Futures, a couple of other different groups, and they applied for a Western Diversification Fund grant, received it. They were awarded $84,000. They're going to be, I think the ad may be out now, or if it's not out now, it'll be coming out soon. They're going to be looking for a project manager to look at the feasibility and then put a business case together for an innovation hub of some sort where community organizations, nonprofits, social enterprises, and businesses that are looking for a place to come together, kind of a collision space, come together and support each other and move projects forward. So there are a number of potential locations that they're looking at, new, refurbished, etc. But this is to put together the business model to make sure that it actually will be feasible. They have 18 months to put this together and then move something forward. I mentioned the public hearing for cannabis. At our Community of the Whole meeting yesterday, we had SCREDO come forward, the Sunshine Coast Regional Economic Development Organization. Our council hadn't had any background on them before, as this board does not have background. They've never presented here. There are some changes happening there. The chair is moving away. He's going away for 6 months, so he's stepping down as of September, and the program manager is stepping down as well. They have an ad out right now for a new economic development program manager or whatever director, executive director they're looking for. So that's out right now. One of the things they did say was, as per our charter with them, this is a joint agreement with all the governments on the coast. Their agreement with us, their MOU, expires December of 2020, and it's required that we start meeting with them a year in advance. So they've actually brought that forward just to put it on our radar at this point. We also met with Sunshine Coast Tourism yesterday, and they did a presentation for us as well. Sunshine Coast Tourism is, theirs as well, is coming forward. Hang on, let me look at the date, because they had a 5-year agreement for the MRDT, the regional tax that's being charged to hotel or accommodation providers. That's actually coming forward in a year and a half, I believe, as well, for renewal. So they're going to have to go back out to the community for that. One of the things that will be up for discussion around that is whether or not they move to the 3% MRDT or stay at 2%. So, and they're discussing that at the board level right now. Seashelt is hopping these days. Farmers market on Saturday. Every Saturday there's music downtown on Friday afternoons, and it's just busy. It's really busy. So if you're looking for someplace to go Saturday afternoon, come and check out our farmers market. I did go listen to some of the music in Seashelt and then went to Gibson's actually on Saturday night because they were playing downtown in Wine Garden Park. So there's lots of stuff happening on the coast. Check things out and get out there and enjoy the community. It's amazing. Mm-hmm. Thank you. And I'm looking forward to not seeing all of you each week for a while. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Over to West Howe Sound and Director Hiltz. What have you been up to?
Sure thing. A few things. I am going to try to see the coast a little bit more in July, particularly from the water. So I guess this is a little bit of the water theme. On July 18th was the Ports Monitoring Committee, it's a challenging committee to bring 8 representatives from the various wharfs into this room. And everyone attended, and out of that meeting, I got something else on here, sorry. The next meeting is later on in the fourth quarter, and they're going to use some technology to allow people who are not necessarily on the coast at that time of year to participate in the meeting. So I think that's going to be an interesting to use the technology to allow people to come together virtually and have a meeting. So I'm looking forward to that. That's going to help out a lot. It's Drowning Prevention Week this week, July 21st to 27th. So as I'm going out on the water, I'm going to make sure I got my PFD on there and do all the right things. So just an encouragement for people to stay safe in the water in July and August when we have our lovely weather. And I am going to go to the Eastbourne Community Association meeting, which is on the east side of Keats Island, an interesting community subdivided in 1956. I don't think they ever thought they'd have as many people there as they do now, and it's a SCRD water system, and there will be a staff member, and the operator is going to accompany, they'll be at the meeting as well to update people on the water issue on Eastbourne Island, which is an ongoing situation. And I got to say thanks to the CAO as well. Like I'm really happy that you're here, so thanks again.
Thank you. So in Half Moon Bay, and also as chair, I was able to, I opened the Half Moon Bay Country Fair last weekend. Yes, on Sunday. Everything is blur after a while. I'm actually kind of looking forward to August as a way to recalibrate my internal time clock, because everything has just drifted very closely together. So the Country Fair it's a great tradition in Half Moon Bay, where just members of the community come together, and there's all kinds of events, everything from a kids fishing derby to they had disc golf there, which was great. They had a demo area, cakewalks, all kinds of community vendors, as well as the first responders were there, pancake breakfast, and then the fire department serving hamburgers and that kind of thing. It was a really fun event. The week prior, I went to an impromptu rainbow rally in Gibson's when the crosswalk got painted over with white paint, the rainbow crosswalk, which was so that was it was a very positive event that came out of a very negative action, but it was a lot of fun to stand in my rainbow dress and wave a flag. So it was nice to be able to put some positive community support out there in promoting inclusivity on our coast and acceptance and bringing people together out of an action that was just so unfortunate. And the crosswalk looks great now that it's been all power washed. So. Just a couple of other things, a Sechelt Library Board meeting, of course the Strat Plan, the breakfast with the Sechelt Nation, which I so enjoyed, Ports Monitoring Committee as well, Angie's farewell. Like, there's been a lot that's gone on the last couple of weeks, getting to know our interim CAO a bit, and something I want to flag for the directors, the Festival of the Written Arts is coming up, and I forwarded an invitation to you all for the event. The details are in there. There's an opening event that, as directors, we've been invited to, so I've forwarded that, so check your email for that. Looking forward to that. I'd love to say that, I'm looking forward to not seeing you all as much, but I know I'm going to still be in and out of this building signing things, I'm sure. Yes. But otherwise, just on a personal note, I have one kid headed off to the Netherlands tomorrow morning, and another one that's in China right now. So I'm looking forward to celebrating Drowning Prevention Week by going out onto the ocean and to the lakes and not be running my children around for a while. Or losing my vehicle to them as they drive themselves around. So, but yes, so we've all had lots on the go, and it's been a really busy few months, and I think we're all looking forward to a little bit of a break to recalibrate and get our head on straight before we head into a very, very busy fall. So so thank you, directors, and thank you, staff, for all of your support, and thank you to the community for your patience as we learn, and for your continual questions and vigilance to make sure we do learn. So with that, we have no new business today. We do have an in-camera session before we go into our, we do have other meetings later on this afternoon with Regional Hospital District. So I will ask for a motion to go in camera, and then we will ask for questions from the audience and questions from media. So our motion for in camera is that the public be excluded from attendance at the meeting in accordance with Section 91A, C, K, and I of the Community Charter, personal information about an identifiable individual, labor relations and other employee relations, negotiations and related discussions respecting the provision of a municipal service, and the receipt of advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege. So moved and seconded. All those in favor? Motion carries. Over to